Hi, I am Amber Craft. So I promised you guys a rundown of what happened today at the conference, and now I stayed at the hotel last night because it's an 8-hour drive from where I live, and I don't fly. Sorry, I just don't do it. So I got up this morning, and first thing I did, of course, was check in to the event. Now, after I got checked in, the second very important thing I did before I walked from the table was to make sure that the people I was pitching to, the times had not changed. Because even though I got emailed, things can happen in a day, things can happen in an hour. So you always want to check. And you never know, things might happen even after you check. So, checked, made sure all my times were the same as when I had gotten emailed. They give you a little folder, and inside that folder, grab this stuff. It has, now the writing conference was apparently hosted by the North Colorado Writers. They gave their little pamphlet on the front, and then on the back it talks about the actual conference. So if you live in Colorado, that's great. If you don't, like I don't, there's probably a lot of good stuff. You might could network with them still, but obviously you're not going to go to the meetings. But it's still a good thing to have. Alright? Now the second thing was the rundown of what they were going to talk about at what time. And I actually wrote show you that. I actually wrote when I was going to pitch to people. Here, here, here. So that I would know when he was talking about a certain topic, that's when I would need to watch the clock. Now if you have a watch or there's a clock on the wall, it's obviously easier. But there wasn't a clock on the wall, and because of the time change, my watch was wrong. So I did not want to mess up. So I had my phone and my tablet to make sure that I got there on time. Now, he talked about just a bird's eye view of the publishing in this year. And then 15 tips on how to write like a pro. And then we did the Writers Got Talent after lunch. And then there were 25 questions you need answered before you seek an agent or you self-publish your book, and then 25 questions you need answered after you find an agent or you self-publish. And that's what he talked about. And the host of the conference was Brian Clems. If I butchered his name, I don't know. But so he also, with those things, gave actual handouts. And these are things that I guess he's talked about over the years. Just frequently asked questions. So, and then of course you ask questions, and a lot of them are really good, relevant questions throughout all of those handouts and those times. Now, to pitch, you actually just get up and leave and go pitch and then come back. You can leave your stuff there or not, depending. Of course, women will almost always take their purses. I made sure I didn't bring any of that, so I didn't need to. That way I could keep my place. I just brought my writing stuff. And I knew it was a verbal conference from the email. Always make sure you read the emails beforehand. I can't tell you how many people didn't know that there was only water there, which tells me they didn't read the conference email, the last one that got sent out, saying that there would only be water. So if you're a coffee drinker or a tea drinker, you had to walk across the street to Starbucks or go into the dining room. Or if you're lucky enough like me, I had coffee in my room. Important. Read the email before you come. I don't care where you live. There's important information in those. They would not have not sent them out if there wasn't. Okay. But yeah, so during the first one, I went and I pitched to Becky Lejeune, and honestly, we hit it off right off the bat. I could have talked to her for hours. So, you know, when you go to a pitch, basically what I did is last night, I tried to memorize my query that I had changed up. I mean, I already knew it. Of course, I know what my book is about. But I wanted to give a kind of a edited version of my edited query. Now, of course, I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm not going to memorize it, because that's what a query is. That tells them more. But at the same time, I didn't do an elevator pitch. If you need to know what that is, I'll tell you at a later date. But I felt like there was just too much in my novel to sum it up to 2 sentences or 2 to 5 sentences. I've got 10 minutes with these people. I want them to fall in love with the book like I have. You know, this is my baby. So, yeah, I basically did a summary of my query, which is a summary. And I went in there confident with Becky, and it was amazing. The words just flowed, and, you know, I walked up to her, introduced myself. First and foremost, be nice, introduce yourself. Just, you don't always assume they know who is coming up next on their list. So, but I did that, and then I was like, I've never done one of these. What would you like me to do? Would you like me to just run into it and pitch you? She goes, yeah, sure. So I did. And then she asked me some questions about where I saw this going. Had I published before? When I mentioned I was already writing my next book, she asked me how far along that was, how many months it took to write this one, and things like that. And I mentioned that I had self-published, and because of the publisher, it wasn't done that well, and when I had published it, and that kind of explained when the time frame was for self-publishing. So, you know, she's seen it. So that way she knew that if she went back and Googled me, that yes, there would be a book, and yes, it wouldn't have great sales, but that was not my fault. And I told her I wanted to work on that one later on once I got established. So she knows that it might not be great, but I had the drive to work on it later. Now, after I pitched with her, I went back to the conference room, and I'm trying to think what was actually talked about right then. When I came back, it was the 15 tips on how to write like the prose, and I got some really good info on that. And then after lunch, we had the Writers Got Talent, where it's your chapter 1 critique fest, and it has all the literary agents up there. It's kind of daunting, I'm not going to lie. And they basically, like I said, they raise their hand when they would stop reading, and they tell you why. And they tell you what the genre of the book is, and everything. So, it's kind of crazy, and it makes you feel like, oh crap, my book is not as good as I thought it was. And God forbid they read yours. They didn't read mine, and the whole time every time I heard urban fantasy, which is the genre that I wrote at the top, I was thinking, oh God, oh God, oh God. And then the second it wasn't mine, I didn't know how to feel. One minute I'd be relieved, and the next is like, but I really want to hear what they have to say about mine. You know, but I still wrote down everything they said about every genre. And that way I made sure that no matter what genre I write in the future, or in this book, or this series, I'm not going to do that. I'll make sure of that. And so after that, almost immediately, I had my pitch with Samantha Fountain and another awesome lady. And I was so nervous. I think I bumbled a little bit. Not my best day out. I don't know if it was that I hooked her somehow, or that she just felt sorry for me. But she didn't have business cards for whatever reason. I forget why she said. She actually told me to send her a query in my first chapter. Oh, and Becky told me to send her a query in the first 5 pages. So I think I did something right, hopefully. And so then I talked to her, and then I went back to the conference. And then during the next session of Brian talking, I had my 20-minute session with Carly Weber. Now all 3 of these ladies actually do support sci-fi and fantasy and romance. So, and that's why I picked them. Make sure that you're picking these people that are in the right genre. And afterwards, when you go back home, like I've got them telling me to send them stuff, make sure you know the rules. You know, you don't want to just send a query when you've been told to send a query in 5 pages, you know, or you don't want to just send the 5 pages and, well, I told you about the book, that's the query. No, you do what they say. It's like your parents. You don't deviate, you do what they say. So I had my pitch to Carly Weber, and while she liked the idea, it just wasn't for her, which happens. You know, she may do the romance and the sci-fi and the fantasy, but she may just not support, as she said, mine's out there. And I know that. It's not a new concept. I've been told I'm out there quite a bit, but hey, we're writers. We're gonna be out there, and we're gonna be crazy, and we're gonna be loud. Even though we're introverts, even if it's a screaming in our head, we're loud. And that's fine. You know, I had 20 minutes with her, so I got her to look at my revised query and critique it even more. And she gave me some great advice, and I asked her about pseudonyms, pen names, because my first book didn't do so well. I didn't want that to negatively affect me, so since she has been around the block with her own agency, I thought that would be, you know, I've got the time, why not ask? And make sure you always go with questions for them. Like with Becky, I didn't need any. We just talked fluidly. With Samantha, I think I rambled so quickly I had time, so I asked her a couple questions. But because I took that 20 minutes with Carly, I was able to get down nitty and gritty and ask her tons of questions that I didn't get to ask everybody and that Brian hadn't answered. You know, he's on the author side of it, not the agent side. So, and then I came back and did the rest of, I think I had like an hour left for the conference with Brian. So, overall, it was an amazing experience. If you get the chance, if you can find the way to get the money, do it. I can't imagine not doing it. I mean, I networked with people. I've been asking for beta readers for a while now, and no one I know writes or reads very much. We all have 1 to 3 jobs, so understandably. And I'm just starting my platform. So, you know, I got 2 people that we're going to exchange emails and actually become each other's beta readers. And I look forward to that awesomely. And not only does it do that, but it helps my platform and their platform as well. So, sorry, the fan's coming on. It might be a little loud. So that was the day in a nutshell. Would I do it again? Yes. Did I wish it was longer? Yes. Not just because I'm in Colorado and away from work, but so overall it was an awesome experience. It was worth the money. And all I gotta do is say, it's your baby. You've got to do it. You know, you are the only one that is going to get it out there. I mean, unless you know a famous writer or you have people in the business, it's only you. You're your book's champion, you know. So always make sure that you take every opportunity to get as much exposure and networking as possible, if nothing else, but just to have other people that aren't family, that aren't friends, that are going to give you an honest critique, that know nothing about the book. You want people like that to just tell you, hey, it stinks. Hey, it's great. Here's what I would change. Get them to read the book. Tell you what they think it's about. Maybe totally different than what you imagined it to be about or what you were going for. So, yeah, that was the conference in a nutshell. So I hope this was helpful. I will post again when I get back, tell you how everything went as far as emailing my queries and my first page and my query and my first chapter to each of them. So we will let you know what happened and keep me informed. I'll keep you informed. Any questions you have, ask below. Like I said, I have my account here to subscribe to, and I have all of my handles that are down below in the description. So, hi, bye, see you later.